So we're about a third of the way through 3D printing our 992 Porsche GT3 RS, and so far it's gone surprisingly well.
Yep, we're turning this into this using basic 3D printers, and although we've had our fair share of setbacks, after 40 rolls of filament and over 1,000 hours of printing and assembly, we have our bonnet, fenders and rear quarter, and we've even printed one of the corner vents. And the car is looking amazing, but now it's time to print and assemble one of the most important pieces of this kit, the roof. And as you're about to see, this would prove to be one of the most challenging pieces of this Porsche GT3 RS puzzle. But before we tackle that, we need to finish off our rear quarter panels.
And in true YouTuber fashion, we only have one side done, so we still have to do the other side. This side is still just Porsche Boxster, and we can't be having that. But luckily for you guys, I've been hard at work on the 3D printers, so we're gonna get straight into it, and we're gonna put this other rear quarter together so that we can mount it on the car.
Printing the right rear quarter was identical to the left side, just flipped, although we did manage to save some time and filament by excluding a few pieces that we didn't end up using on the left-hand side.
Hell yeah. Now I've actually started a second YouTube channel where I'm going to be dropping more raw in-depth videos about building this car, because there's lots of little things that I don't include in these main videos that I think a bunch of you guys will be interested in. It's called Mike Lake V2. I'll be dropping videos pretty much starting straight after this video. So if you're interested, check it out, but let's go ahead and build our left rear quarter panel. Once again, where do I even start?
Well, we use our reference picture to find the most obvious two pieces that go together and go from there. This process requires a lot of focus, so we crack a Newlon energy drink for a bit of extra motivation. While I was assembling the rear quarter, we had a few of the final pieces finishing up on the printers.
Perfect. That one looks a little bit weird. If anyone knows why this is happening at the top of my tall prints every once in a while, maybe it's like moving because I don't have supports on it or something, but I'm sure someone can tell me in the comments. But that would be cool, because yeah, I don't know why that's happening.
As we continue assembling our rear quarter, I can't explain to you guys just how satisfying this whole process is, seeing these shapes come together. Unfortunately, as I came to the end of the piece, I realized we were missing a few pieces.
So the rear quarter is nearly fully assembled, but I did make one mistake and I forgot to print a couple of pieces. That's probably the most difficult part about this whole build, and that is keeping on top of all of the pieces that we've printed and anything that we haven't printed. Now yes, I have a spreadsheet, but organization is not one of my strong points, and even with a spreadsheet I somehow still seem to muck up. And the pieces that I missed are the biggest pieces of the whole puzzle as well, so I don't know how I missed those, but here they are. But now that we have those pieces completed, we can go ahead and finish the rear quarter panel.
So we joined the two main pieces together, and finally our rear quarter is finished.
It feels good, honestly. It's a lot of work that goes into these. So now we're just gonna lay down the fiberglass, let it dry, but then we need to move on to the other rear quarter because we need to make it fit so we can pick some wheels, but I'll tell you guys about that a little bit later. First, let's lay down the fiberglass.
Choosing the right wheels for this car could literally make or break the build. So this next part of the build process is super important.
So we should, in this video, have both of our rear guards fitted to the car, which means we'll have all four corners on the car. Very exciting. But now we're circling back to the first rear quarter that we mounted on the car, because as you can see here, it's only test fit, so we don't actually have it sitting in the proper place. But we are up to the really exciting part of the build, and that is the wheels that we have to choose for the car. Now the GT3 RS runs 21-inch rear wheels and 20-inch front wheels. They will be easily the biggest wheels that I've ever owned. And of course, if I'm going to all this effort to 3D print this car, I'm gonna stay true to the GT3, and we're gonna run the proper spec wheels. That means on the rear, they're not only 21-inch, but they're also 12 inches wide. Now finding a company that makes wheels in those sizes is very difficult. Luckily, we've teamed up with Artka wheels. Now these guys make insane wheels, forged, flow form, one piece, two piece, but they have a bunch of amazing styles, and I have picked one that I think is gonna fit the car perfectly. It took me hours poring over their website to decide what style I wanted. I'm not gonna tell you right now what we've picked, but jump on their website, have a look, and let me know what style you would have picked for this car. You might even pick the same style as me. But not only do they do awesome styles and the right sizes, they also do fully custom offsets and stud patterns. So as you know from the last video, we're running wheel spacers that convert us to 5x114.3 instead of the stock Porsche 5x130 stud pattern. But the big problem is we don't know what offset we need, and we need to measure that, but we can't measure that right now because our rear guard isn't sitting exactly where where it's gonna sit when the car's finished. The offset basically means how far the wheel sits in or out from the hub. So as you can see, these wheels have a really high offset. We obviously want to have that nice GT3 fitment of being fully flush on the guard. So what we need to do is get this mounted nice and flush so this is all sitting where it's gonna sit forever. And that means we need to do some marking and some cutting on the body. So let's get to work.
If you're a Porsche Boxster purist, I highly recommend you look away now, as things are about to get pretty messy. We mark where we needed to cut and remove the 3D printed rear quarter, and while we're at it, the now unneeded rubber seals left over from the soft top. Then we draw some more markings for our cuts, cover everything up so we don't get sparks on our nice interior, and get to work with the grinder. This was definitely very nerve-wracking. We cut away smaller portions first, making sure we're not hitting anything important behind the metal before making our larger cuts.
Pieces of Boxster. There he goes. Yeah, that looks good, dude. So we're cutting as little metal away as possible. That way we can fill all this in here with expander foam as well to keep the sound and the noise of the car kind of nice while you're driving it.
We cut away the final pieces, and now we can slice and shape the body to accept our new 3D printed pieces. This may look a bit ugly now, but don't worry. We're going to add more metal back in later in the process once we've made the new pieces fit perfectly.
So luckily, all that cutting has paid off because we have absolutely nailed that line. Look at that. How good is that? So, as you can see, our cuts are in here, and then this is slotted nicely so that we can get it perfectly flush with the door. And honestly, I think it's gonna work really nice, which is awesome. And that means now we can figure out the offset of our new wheels using a laser. We've got it going to the top of our guard.
Center of the wheel, which conveniently lines up with one of your joins.
Oh, does it? Is that like perfectly center?
Or pretty much.
That's actually not bad.
This is not attached at the back yet, but it's pretty much in the center, which is very convenient. That tells us we're on the right path.
This part of the process is insanely important because if we get this wrong, our fully custom wheels that are being made specifically for this car and take 4 weeks to make and ship to our door, they won't fit properly. Luckily, there are offset calculators that you can use online to assist with this process, and we measured and calculated both the front and rear wheels multiple times to make sure we got it perfect.
And after those calculations, the wheel size that we've ended up with is 21 by 12 inches in the rear, plus 13 offset, and 20 by 9.5 on the front with a -7 offset. They are officially the biggest wheels that I will ever have owned. I've put the order in with Arca Wheels. They'll be here in 4 weeks. I'm like a kid on Christmas waiting for those wheels, but until then, let's keep on working on this car. So now that we've got that rear quarter fitted, I'm gonna fit the door plate that goes on here. So basically, the files have the whole door that you can print off, but given that we've made this fit with our stock door on the guards the way it is, I don't need to print the whole file. I don't want to print the whole door because then it would be like thicker here. And one of my big goals for this car was to be able to use the stock door as it is because I love how clean they shut. It's just the factory setting. It's beautiful. But of course, we need to fill this gap here and make it mold in basically perfectly with the door. So I've got a bit of a cheat code and I've gone ahead and we're just printing this part here that will go on the door, and then we'll mold that into the rest and make it look nice and smooth with bodywork.
This door card piece consists of 10 pieces, used 1.1 kg of material to print, and took a total of 25 print hours. And although it was one of the simpler pieces to print, it wasn't actually that easy to put together.
So as it always goes, this was the smallest piece that I've had to put together on the whole car, and for some reason, one of the more confusing pieces, but that's probably just because, well, I've been here all day, it's getting late and my brain is a little bit fried. But let me go ahead and show you guys how this is going to fit on the door. So technically this should just go here and meet up with our guard somewhere like that. Pretty darn good. As it's been constantly with this build, every little thing we add, it just looks better and better, and the same goes for the door mold. Look at that. So good. So obviously there's a bit of work to be done here, and I'm actually unsure whether we use this piece or whether we make a fiberglass mold so that we can blend it in a lot nicer and easier with the door. Nonetheless, we've got this fitting up super nicely here. Check out the gap though. Ooh, that is perfect. So good. Nonetheless, I am pumped with that. Look, we've almost got one whole side of the car complete. But I do have some exciting news. I think we are going to get the roof on this car in this video, which is really, really cool. I've been absolutely hammering away in the background. And I've also got Ryan from the first video making a return in this video. He's been helping me print some stuff in the background as well, which is cool. So while we're waiting for Ryan, I'm gonna go ahead and cut the plastic out of our new rear guard, the stuff that we don't need, just like we did on the other guard. And we're gonna test fit it to the side of the car before we make our cuts out of this rear quarter.
I just want to take a moment here to thank everyone that's left a comment of support, subscribed, or even just liked a video in this series. You guys are keeping me motivated to push hard on this build, and it really does mean a lot. Hey, look at that. Ryan's arrived with coffee. Perfect.
So we now have both rear quarters fitted to the car, and you can just get a bit of a glimpse right there of how wide this thing is going to be. But there is a reason that I wanted to get both quarters on today, and that is because my good friend Ryan has returned. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, better now. So just over a month ago, we set out on this task.
Flashback.
What is your first thoughts on what we're about to do?
I'm interested to see how it goes.
He knows how much pain I'm about to endure.
End of flashback.
What do you reckon?
It looks good. Yeah, it looks good.
Oh wow!
Like
that was such an anticlimactic response.
No,
I
feel like it's at the stage now where you're really getting into the extra work.
Yeah, I try not to think about that too much, to be honest.
No, it looks really good. It looks really good.
Well, there you go. I get the tick of approval from the 3D printing master himself. But he's not just here to give me compliments. Ryan has been printing for me in the background.
Ryan has a crazy assortment of different 3D printers, and since I'm trying to bring you guys a video every few weeks, he's literally saving our butts by helping us print some of these pieces because
the pure volume of what we have to print in that time is astronomical.
To put it in perspective, the parts we're printing in this video alone took 360 hours worth of 3D printing.
We have actually been printing a piece that's quite important on the car, and that is because we've got both rear quarters on the car, but we don't know if everything's in the right place. Once again, we're in the chicken and the egg scenario. Which part do you need where to know where the other part goes? That was a very confusing sentence, but it makes sense. So what we need is we need the piece that goes in between those things.
That's this piece right here. It houses the high stoplight, but also helps us figure out where our spoiler mounts are going to sit. It's made up of 22 individual pieces and took 102 hours of total print time. Since Brian's here, I managed to rope him into putting this piece together.
Don't muck it up.
And I have to say, building cars with mates is always way more fun.
And just like that, our piece is complete. Look at that. That looks nice. How was your first GT3 RS building experience?
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Dude, it looks good.
I might print one too. I'll race ya.
Good luck to you. That's all I have to say. Right here is where the
uprights are going to go.
Yeah, for the wing.
Yeah.
That's so exciting. And then, yeah, so there's a lot of work to be done on this. Like, obviously, as an overall piece on camera, it looks really cool. You start to look a bit closer, and there's just, there's a lot of work that needs to be done. But now, I guess we can walk it over.
Yeah, right.
And let's see. I have no idea how this is going to go.
Neither do I, actually.
The anticipation is real with things like this. But because we actually don't know where, like, we've been staring at pictures on Google to figure out where the stuff fits.
Yeah.
I think this is supposed to meet up with this.
Or would this be dropped down a bit? Oh no, you're probably right. It probably.
And I think this that's like here.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure.
That makes sense.
Because you know that this ducktail covers that.
Yeah,
it goes over, and then you've got the mesh that comes down.
We spent the next half an hour debating about where this piece actually went before finally dummy fitting it in place.
So this might not look like much, but this piece being here tells us quite a lot about what's going on with the car. So we've marked a center line here, and we've marked a center line here. Of course, because it's 3D printed, we have a perfect center line through here. So we can kind of get the gist of where everything's supposed to be sitting. Now, one thing we have to take into account is obviously we've molded this side into the car here. We haven't done that on this side. So this side will be sitting that way a little bit. But essentially, now that that's there, we can figure out kind of where our wing is going to sit.
Yep. Got some ideas for how we're going to make it all work.
Yeah, so this is Ryan's job.
Ryan's going to help us figure out how we're going to mount, in my opinion, what is the coolest part of this build, and that is the gooseneck spoiler. And yes, we're going to attempt to have a working DRS system on this wing, just like a real GT3 RS.
So basically, obviously it goes through here. Oh, I've never been very good at finding the right slot. So the wing goes through here, And obviously then we can start to figure out where our mounts are supposed to be down here. I'm excited. We're going to do a whole episode on
I actually care about the rest of the car.
Yeah, just the wing. To be fair, so do I.
Yeah.
Like the gooseneck wing is everything. We're going to do a full episode going in depth on how we're going to kind of obviously bring it all together for you. And then we've actually run into another kind of issue. And when I say issue, it's not really an issue. It's just a problem that we have to overcome. Because we're literally the first people in the world doing this kit on the Boxster, we are running into things that we find as we do this.
Which you would expect, like files are great, but there's a lot involved with getting it all to fit on the car. So.
Exactly. But we've actually just realized, so here is where the rear windscreen, wait, is it called a rear windscreen?
I think so.
Okay.
It's a screen for wind.
Rear wind screen. So this is where the rear windscreen goes. But that is where we service the car because it's mid-engine. So we're going to have to then come up with a way that we can continue to service the car once there's a windscreen here, which will entail probably us having this all be on removable mounts. And then obviously we can remove that as you would on a genuine GT3. This will be removable and then we'll just have some kind of like funky, maybe I can 3D print a funnel like that has an S in it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I can keep that in the boot in like a nice little section. And then that way, that's how we get our oil into, and then I'll just have to reach under to get the dipstick out, which is fine. I can do that. But these are just the little things that we have to overcome with something like this. It's not as easy as just slapping a kit on. Is that you done, Ryan?
Yeah, I didn't even do anything. I just came to hang out.
Moral support.
Yeah.
That's way more fun having friends around, build the stuff. While you're gone, I'm gonna continue working on this thing because next up is the roof. So, deep breaths. So much plastic welding. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Appreciate you.
Anytime.
Let's go. So now it's time to move on to one of the most important but also complicated pieces of the build, and that is the roof. Why is it so complicated, you ask? Well, as you can see the pieces appearing in front of me right now on the table, you'll see that they are all flat, just like the bonnet, which means it's very difficult to know exactly where each piece goes. So there's a lot of trial and error that goes into this with kind of trying each piece in place. But I am super excited to get this piece together because when we put it on the car, obviously it's going to change the car from a convertible into a hardtop, but also it's going to give us that iconic Porsche shape. So I'm really excited to see the piece on the car. Also, it has those aerodynamic fins, as you can see in the photo right now, which is going to be awesome. So let's get to work. Wish me luck.
The beginning of the bonnet was relatively easy to put together, but as we got further and further into it, it got more and more difficult due to the shape and how it all pulls together.
So we're onto a really cool part because we're onto the part of the roof with the fins in it.
Although the bonnet was quite difficult to put together, everything was going relatively smoothly and I needed it to get this video out by the deadline. Unfortunately, just as I was printing the last parts for the roof, we started having a lot of errors with our 3D printers.
Second to last piece of the roof. Damn it. This piece has by far and away been the most difficult part of the whole car, not just to print, but to put together. And this is the frustrating part about 3D printing. When it's going well, it's really cool. But when you have a problem and you're trying to troubleshoot why it's not working, it can be, what's the word? It can be really frustrating. It can really bring you down, basically. So the pieces that we are missing. So this whole piece here, this was a failure, but I actually ended up using this part. And then I'm printing from here upwards. I'll stop the print, I'll cut it, and we'll line it up perfectly here so that we basically don't waste this and don't waste too much time trying to reprint the whole thing. The same thing happened here, and then around here, because the fins in the print files, they're not quite attached, and for some reason this is missing, so I am currently printing this piece as well. But other than that, the whole bonnet is pieced together, and you can see the shape is pretty darn aggressive, and that is what made it so hard to assemble. The way that it takes its shape, basically like the first row was easy to put together, but then you put the next row on and you add the piece and you add this piece, and then there'll be a gap here that you kind of pull together, and that's how the whole thing gets its shape as you pull it. And that was just quite finicky and quite time consuming, but I mean, I'm really happy with the actual overall shape. We won't know what it looks like, of course, until we flip it over, and we can't do that till tomorrow morning. But there's plenty more work we can do while we wait for those last pieces to print so we can lay down the fiberglass on this thing. So I figure we may as well go ahead, make the mount for this guard and cut this rear section out so that this guard fits nicely just like the other side. And by the time that's done, those prints should be finished and we'll be away laughing.
When life gives you lemons, sometimes you just have to say f the lemons and build other parts of your 3D printed Porsche while you're waiting. I made the mount for our right fender using the old Boxster fender just like we did on the left side. And man, this thing looks so cool with the whole front end mounted. Then we removed the left rear 3D printed guard and cut out the same pieces as the other side. It's always much easier doing it the second time round since we actually knew what we were doing, so that was nice. Once that was done, our last 3D prints had finally finished printing successfully, so I went ahead and added them to our roof, and the good vibes were finally starting to pick back up.
Well, the temporary sadness and frustration that I was feeling because of the roof has now quickly subsided because we've got all of the front panels officially mounted on the car, and how freaking good does that look? I kind of forgot that we hadn't actually mounted the whole front yet. We'd only ever had it dummy fitted, but that looks absolutely awesome. And yeah, I'm back on the hype train now. Builds like this are full of constant ups and downs when it comes to emotions. But we're back up, and that's all that matters. Not only that, but the roof is now complete. And how aggressive is the curve on this thing? I cannot wait to flip it over and dummy fit this thing tomorrow. But quietly, I'm super happy that we've finally got this piece together. It definitely kicked my ass, but let's go ahead, lay down some fiberglass, and I'll see you guys in the morning because it's almost midnight right now. Also, if you're not subscribed to the channel, why aren't you subscribed? I'm putting in a mammoth amount of effort to get these videos out to you guys as quick as possible, so if you could hit that subscribe button, it massively helps. Anyway, let's smash some fiberglass on this roof.
And after a very long night and a whole lot of fiberglass fumes, our 3D printed roof was finally finished.
So it's the next day, our fiberglass is now dry on the roof, and we can flip it over and see whether I've done good or whether I've done bad.
Here we go, moment of truth.
Seems good, seems strong. Hey.
Yeah, boy.
Yeah, dude. And just like that, we have the Batman mask, aka our 3D printed GT3 RS roof. And easily my favorite part are these fins, man. That is so cool. So obviously it looks very much 3D printed at the moment, but look at the curve in it. I'm very happy with the way that's come together because it does look like it's correct. Like it doesn't look abnormal or out of shape in any of the areas. It's got like this dip thing through the middle here, but it's probably hard to see on camera, but it looks really freaking cool. So overall, I'm very happy because that was an absolute fight to get that together. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, but in the end it's worth it because it looks like it's gonna work for us. So next we need to see if it actually fits our GT3 RS. This is a good name, by the way. Someone mentioned it in the comments. I've seen it a couple of times. You've nailed it. GT3 RS, perfect. So to dummy fit our roof on the car, well, we're going to have to do a couple of things because at the moment we've got these floppy bits here, and that obviously is not going to cut it. So what Warwick has been doing in the background is he's made us temporary B pillars. So basically there's a spot under here, right here, and that's where the factory hard tops would have bolted up for these things. So you have the option obviously of a soft top or a hard top. So what we're going to do is we're going to bolt our temporary B pillar up to the area where the hard top would usually bolt up to, and then this piece will sit against here, and then the roof can sit on here for now, and that means we can dummy fit it and make sure it's all the right shape and everything like that. So either side here, it looks very accurate, like it looks pretty spot on, but we're not going to know, of course, until we fit the roof and see whether it's in the right spot. So yeah, my brain is definitely feeling a bit fuzzy right now, but we are making progress, and that's all that matters. Also, I'm friggin' hyped to have this guard on as well as the other one. So, but now it's time to fit our Batman helmet onto the car. Let's do this.
After all of the hard work, this was a seriously nerve-wracking part of the process. If this doesn't fit, we're in some serious trouble.
Woo! So when we started this build, I honestly had no idea whether it was going to work. And the roof was the most risky part, because if that didn't work, if that didn't look right, then the end result was never going to work. But check this out.
Every build will have its ups and downs, and this build is no exception. But seeing how well this roof fits and just how good it looks makes all of the hard work worth it. Maybe we'll actually be able to pull this build off.
Obviously, as you can see here, there is a gap between the roof and where the Boxster roof is, and we knew that was going to be the case. But what we'll do here is obviously we're going to weld in some metal that'll literally like hold that, and that will attach to the metal. It'll fill that gap nicely, and then we're actually going to make a full frame around the whole thing that'll attach. We'll have cross-section bracing through this part of the roof as well. Obviously, everything will get fiberglass with multiple layers, and we'll have a roll cage in the back as well, the GT3 RS half cage. But I just can't believe how well this fits. It's absolutely wild. Like, if you think about it, we've just converted a convertible into a solid top using 3D printed parts, and they fit like a freaking glove. Look at the line. It's so good. Everything is just tech screwed on at the moment, so we've got a couple of braces under here that's tech screwed it, but the way it even lines up through here, so good. And then you can see there's lines right here on the windscreen, and they line up perfectly with this line. So I don't know whether that was like intentional, but it works, and it works very, very well. And the most important thing is, if we look from the front here, it doesn't look silly. Like, if the arc was wrong here, it would look like balloony, and it would just look stupid, and the scale of the car would look wrong. But that, to me, looks absolutely awesome. I don't know if it shows up on camera as well as it shows in person, but that looks spot on. Like, I could not be happier with that. That's so good. These Boxster windows get replaced with Cayman 987 windows. I actually bought one. It's up there on the shelf, so we'll be putting that into this door in the next episode, and we'll get to see how well this fits with this body line. Obviously, these B-pillars are temporary. We need to make proper ones, but these fins, man, how good. This whole thing, just absolutely amazing. There is nothing quite like ending a video on a high, and I mean, geez, you can't get any better than that. I'd love to know your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget, hit that hype button. That really helps push the video out. Subscribe if you feel like subscribing, but we're making some massive progress. And guess what? In the next video, of course, we get to do the rear end, and I cannot wait. I've already started printing this stuff, so get excited. We've got a long road ahead, but this is coming together so nicely. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.